together.
Interesting conversation. Oprah explores the rising trend of going no contact with your family.
Nedra, you wanted to say what about this?
Yeah, I think that void gets smaller as time passes, but there will always be something there because you do have a mother, you do have that part of your family, and both things can exist. You can miss people and decide to not have that relationship, and you don't get to erase the feelings in either direction. So it's something that you'll come to live with.
Listen.
Oprah is that there was a study done in 2016 which showed that our ideas about what constitutes harm, abuse, trauma, and neglect have radically expanded in the past 2 decades. Radically expanded. So what often happens is an adult child, like any of you may come up to your parent and go, you emotionally abused me, you neglected me, you traumatized me, and your parents are going to be like, what the hell? I would have killed for a childhood like yours.
Yes.
So generations are talking past each other. I mean, it's kind of incumbent on us as parents to really learn how to speak the language of our adult children if we want to have a relationship with them. But that is one of the most significant changes, is our expanded views of what constitutes abuse and harm.
And that has changed.
That has changed.
And it has evolved exponentially in the past several years.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, the past few decades, but social media is an enormous amplifier of that.
Yeah.
I disagree. Social media doesn't have to do that.
And it's the comment that says,
Listen to this.
your children are not estranging from you to hurt you. They're doing it to protect themselves. I call BS. What are they protecting themselves from with us? Loving parents who've always supported them, loving parents who's always, done everything in their power to be there for them, who financially has supported them, who has went out of their way and put their life on the back burner for their kids. What are they protecting themselves from?
Oh, you've had no contact with your daughter now for what, 3 years?
My daughter, yes. She's estranged from my side of the family 3 times in 7 years. The last estrangement came as a shock because we had reconnected for 2.5 years. I let my guard down. We got matching family tattoos, beach vacations with me and her brothers. And so I thought, we made it. We're golden. I'm not going to lose her again. And bam, a little conflict happened and out the door. And I tried to talk to her and I was like, we need to sit down. Can we just please sit down and talk? And why are you so upset? It was something so minor. And she refused to communicate with her brothers and I. She's cut my mother off, the only grandmother she's ever had, who's completely heartbroken. Her brothers don't have a sister. They're
Cut off contact with them.
Yes. And in the beginning, the first estrangement, I will give, it wasn't her fault. She was 17, 18 years old. I went through a divorce. She felt she had to choose, and she didn't choose me. We worked through that. Things to me, and I understood it. But now she's 25, almost 26. She knows I'm a good person. She even, we made TikToks together. She made me beautiful TikTok and that I have pinned on my profile, and literally Mother's Day. And then 2 weeks later, there was a conflict. So my daughter, she is smart. She's funny. She was a joy to raise. She's a college graduate, but I feel she lacks conflict resolution skills. And I just feel like my question to the therapist is how do we move forward to help parents and children that weren't in abusive parents? A lot of us are really good parents. We aren't deserving of this. How do we teach parents and children that we can work through the messy, hard stuff so that we can talk and not go no contact? Because I'm not going to lie, it's been 3.5 years, no word at all. And how do we move forward to help parents and children that weren't in abusive parents? A lot of us are really good parents. We aren't deserving of this. How do we teach parents and children that we can work through the messy, hard stuff so that we can talk and not go no contact? Because I'm not going to lie, it's been 3.5 years, no word at all. And the glimmer of hope of us ever reconnecting is going away. I talk about a platform and give parents a place to be seen and heard. And, when it first started happening to me, I was like you. I was like, I thought I was alone. So now I have a platform where parents can be seen and heard because we are villainized. And that video was about how villainized we become on that app.
What was the response to that video?
Parents were thankful, and so many, I felt like I was alone. And she is smart, she's funny. She was a joy to raise. She's a college graduate, but I feel she lacks conflict resolution skills. And I just feel like my question to the therapist is how do we move forward to help parents and children that weren't in abusive parents? Like, a lot of us are really good parents. We aren't deserving of this. How do we teach parents and children that we can work through the messy, hard stuff so that we can talk and not go no contact? Because I'm not going to lie, like, it's been 3.5 years, no word at all. And the glimmer of hope of us ever reconnecting is going away. I talk about a platform and give parents a place to be seen and heard. And, when it first started happening to me, I was like you. I was like, I thought I was alone. So now I have a platform where parents can, so many, I felt like I was alone. And to be honest, so many of us parents, I'm not a therapist, but I've heard hundreds of stories. So many of us never even got the opportunity to sit down and talk to our children. Listen, I'm all about, we don't decide what hurt. We don't get to decide what hurt someone.
Yes.
They don't get to decide what hurt us. So if my daughter came to me and said, Mom, can we talk? Heck, yes, absolutely. I would take ownership of anything she said I did to hurt her, because I don't get to decide what hurt her.
Okay.
But she
Very interesting topic on so many levels. Okay, so for those of y'all that don't know, outside of being an apostle, I am a trained marriage counselor, family counselor, crisis counselor, trauma, and addiction counseling. I don't really care for addiction counseling, but I have accoutrements. That's my master's degree holding, okay? But I also have personal experience. So and this is hard because I don't usually do stuff on social media, but because this has already been brought to social media on multiple occasions, not from me and Jamil, because my husband and I are very private people. Like, because we have to be so out because of Kingdom at Hand and Dr. JNC and JNC Construction and Beck and Girl Productions and the TV show and our YouTube channels, we always tend to try to keep something for ourselves. And a lot of times that stuff is our marriage, our kids, raising our kids. Family stuff, extended family stuff. Like, we try to keep that in because we don't get to keep a lot of stuff to that previous clip. I know her daughter said something to her multiple times and it fell on deaf ears. I don't believe that. Nobody just goes no contact because, I didn't get a chance to say anything and I would take accountability for my behavior. But you say that because it's nice. You say that because you're on the podcast. But the times that led up to that final sever, how did you treat it? I'm going to tell you how she treated it. She treated it like it was nothing. It was dismissive. How do I know? Because y'all saw the progression of the clip because I put it in my story. So go back a couple of clips. She called it small stuff. You don't get to be dismissive. You don't get to be disrespectful. You don't get to be demeaning when you want a relationship with family. You get to put everything on the table and be respectful. How do I know? Again, this is something that this is our current reality. And in our current reality, my husband's sibling offered my child drugs. And if we hadn't been the parents that we are and explained all of the stuff, drugs, sex, alcohol, abuse, addictions in the bloodline, all of that, drug enabling, we could have had a very big problem on our hands. Very big problem. As an apostle, I see this stuff all the time. As a counselor, I see this stuff all the time. As an apostle of educators and lawyers, and even being a mom of teens. At the high school my kids went to, Josiah graduated, Kai is still there, she's graduating this year. They had to keep Narcan there at the school because kids are coming in with Fenty. They're addicted. They come over medicated. They come sick. They come and pass out. That could have been my husband and I's life, because somebody wanted to do some small stuff. I found out later that this same sibling took my kids to a dope house. I was brokenhearted. I'm an apostle. I'm your mom. I've never been to that kind of environment. Like, at all the things that have happened in my childhood. And I didn't have a lot of stuff. I had one like traumatic expression, but everything else my parents did what they were supposed to do. I'm 41. I've never been to a dope house. Don't know nothing about it. My son was able to describe music playing in the background, people laying up, dozing off, people dancing. I've never seen. Kai explain this to me, and I was just like, and my kid said, I was traumatized. And I'm a counselor. All I could do was repent to them, because I trusted that member. So then we asked for respect. Hey, this is just what it is. Who knows how long it'll be. We just got to get through the raising part of our kids. Oh, and then the youngest child, they got turned up, put the youngest child in my stroller, spent the child around and around and around and around and around in the stroller, right? So when I tried to go back, and I didn't know that this happened, I was told later. I was trying to put her in the stroller, and she started fighting me. Like, Maya's like, no stroller. I was like, you'll get in the stroller, no stroller. So I like literally grabbed her, put the stroller back in the car. Can you hold my hand and just walk? Yes. When I say she held my hand and just walked, because now how am I supposed to feel as a mom? That has, none of this stuff has ever been my reality. I came from two parents that raised us in a Christian household. They're educated. My parents didn't do drugs or anything like that around my sister and I. I'm from a two-parent household. My parents are still married now. Everything was kind of, for the most part, straight edge. Vacations every summer. You said I had one traumatic expression. But this is what my reality is. And then was told we better have the relationship with that person. Would throw our relationship with Jesus Christ. Well, you're an apostle. Of darn course. I train, I build, I disciple, I send folk out, I command them into destinies. Been saved since I'm 8, prophesying at the age of 9, changing people's lives. Don't use my relationship with the Lord as a penchant to guilt trip, gaslight, or demean. And I'm not the ire, and I'm not the imp. I'm not the reason. I'm the just girl this boy married 20 years ago. And look, I don't care about being a villain at this point. I'm not working to earn nobody's respect anymore. That's just not where I'm at. I'm too old. Been married too long. And we've had conversations saying, hey, could you please respect the balance? Could you please respect the boundaries? We have to raise these kids, blah, 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 blah. And text messages, conversations. I was awakened 2 years ago, and I was like the conversation was very off-putting. I was told, you gonna die because you're holding my son from having a relationship with his brother. What? First of all, I guess you don't know your son. We gonna start there. Your son. Okay, I'm a type A personality. I'm the oldest child of my parents. Between Murtis and Daryl is Darlisha. She's behind me in age, 4 years. My husband is a middle child from one family and baby in the other. He's still That's one of the reasons why I actually really liked him, because he marched to the beat of his own drum and nobody could control or push him into a space where he would be something that he is not to fit in. His idea was, I'm about to stand out and I don't care. Even in high school, even in grade school. If he liked something, he liked it through and through. If he did not like it, he did not like it. Like to this day, I cannot get him to eat a coconut shaving to save my life or his, because he don't like it. Okay? And I would never try to control. I'm not that wife that would ever try to use sex, conversation, emotional manipulation to get an outcome from my husband. Number one, that stuff don't work. He would have been like, Heifer, if you don't bring all that back, because don't nobody care. Like, you got to know who that person is. And he's the most fair person I know, because he is a middle child. Fair. So if he made a decision, trust that he prayed it through. He walked it out. We talked it out. We didn't went to counselors. We didn't went to our marriage coaches. We because one thing him and I have, we have systems and procedures around us. We went to our own apostle. And when the whole, look, the Sanhedrin says no, and they don't know each other, bishops and apostles that don't know each other all have the same outcome, then that's God's heart for what we are building in the Anthony household that we are creating. Me and my man are married real bad. 20 years in, 18-year-old child, 17-year-old child, 12-year-old child, 18 years of ministry, almost 19, sidebar, May 21st through 24. Shameless plug, but the most fair person I've ever met, most just person I've ever met, most even keel person, but he is not to be pushed or forced. Moreover, because I'm a family type girl and a type A personality, babe, don't you think, babe, blah, blah, blah. And here's what, my husband is going to protect who? Me and my kids. Yeah, a lot of women don't get that. Their husbands be disrespectful, putting their family over their wives, putting their family over their kids. You just gonna, why don't you have a conversation? Protect it. So I don't have to deal with that. And if he sees or deems something unfair to me or our children, he's gonna build a boundary, and it's not a wall. It's a pathway to good treatment that was held by conversation. Because he's fair, he didn't just shut the door and stop conversation. There were conversations that were had that led up to the point of. Yep. And maybe the signs were ignored. I don't know. Maybe the expectation of, well, he'll just adjust. I don't know what the expectation is, but I do know that at this stage of our lives, him, in his 40s, I'm in my 40s, we're married 20 years. We just don't have the energy any longer to be performative. And so you have to keep in mind, who is Jamil and Carrie? What are they building? Who are their kids? I don't care that it's bloodline. Figure that out if you want a relationship. My husband always says, hey, your parents have the sauce and the season, and they figured out how to master legacy, relationship retention with you, your sister, me, because he has his own relationship with my parents. I could come in the house and he's on the phone with them. I'm looking like, did you go, you know, they being grandparents, you know, both of my parents who are still married to this day, they're married 40 plus years, have mastered the art of conversation, bringing stuff down, bringing everybody to an understanding, even in frustration, repentance, me repenting, they're repentant, and we move on because the conversations are had in truth and nobody's offended. Nobody's doing too much. And I long to produce that with my kids. That's right. Because I closed my eyes, I found out I was pregnant. I closed my eyes, I gave birth. I closed my eyes, and my kids are nearly grown. Like, me and my husband are almost empty nesters, like, for real. And I don't want them to just, I want to be a safe place. Yeah. And so I've taken what I've seen, what's not healthy, what shouldn't happen, and said, yeah, thank you for the lesson. I will not be doing that because I'm going to want my son's, not husband, and he's not a husband, son, my son's wife to be, I'm Mama C, girl. My daughter's husband's, I'm Mama C, son. And to create a legacy that's buildable, that can last, and I got hopes and dreams. I ain't gonna put all that out there right now, but because there go that privacy, that boundary, that privacy is. I got hopes and dreams. I got stuff that's my husband and I are praying through, and we put on what we gonna do. And I know it's possible because on the other side, I live that with my parents. I can go over there any time. I talk to them almost every day. If my mother does not hear from me, 9 times out of 10, she's going to call. Yeah. She'll call me. And my father be right in the background. Hey, Carrie. So I'm going to hear from him. And say, for instance, I'm working. I'll shoot him a text. Yo, I'm at work. I'll call y'all back. Now, I already know my parents is going to go to bed. So if I get off late, I'm not going to disturb them. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to go to bed and I'll call them back the next day. But I know that healthy family relationships are possible. I know that that's something that could be passed down. But trust and believe, no contact is not all about mental health, about me. Sometimes it's about the provision of the boundary for what you are building for safety. And it's a last resort because who wants to not talk to their siblings or their parents? That's crazy. So then you got to analyze, what is the truth? What is the truth of the relationship? And again, my husband and I have not ever disrespected, dishonored, or told our truth. And I didn't even have the conversation about, I think that conversation might have been sobering, not triggering at all, but more sobering. Because him and I never expressed any of this. We just was like, got it. And decisions were made towards the love that we have for Josiah, Kai, and Maya. And because we're parents that are very open with our kids, we had conversations with them so they'll kind of know, because they're older, they're not babies, what's going on, so they have an understanding so that they can see stuff for what it is. So I guess final thoughts. Okay. We still love you. We still believe in the power of family. But nobody's going to threaten what they're building. You don't get to regularly just mess up our legacy. Mess up what we're building. Mess up what we have been putting on the inside of our kids since they got here. No, nobody gets to do that. Okay? And we're creating leaders and lovers and husband and wives and dad and moms. You don't get to mess that up. You don't get to insert a demonic doctrine of devils into my kids without my permission. No. So I know my husband and I are grown in Jesus because we pray instead of swinging on folk.